Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Resilient Community Challenge, our Earth Day event. We're really pleased to have so many people. This has been an effort that's been planned since June of last year, primarily by students from MIU, Maurice School, and Fairfield High School. So we're just the worker bees, the old ones that you see around here, and they're the ones who really helped plan this. We're really fortunate in that this time we redefined Earth Day as Resilience Day, and we're really focusing on circular models and how to move towards zero waste in our community and in Southeast Iowa. As a result of that, we were able to convince David Levine from the American Sustainable Business Network, he's the president and co-founder, to join us here from New York today to kick off our event. And so we're using a little bit different format. We're sparing you a keynote presentation, and Faith Reeves, who's our sustainability coordinator extraordinaire for Fairfield, is going to actually have a dialogue with David. So you can learn a little bit more about David and probably about Faith as well in case you need to. So that will be our format until 11:30, and then we have 3 national speakers who will be joining us and talking about circularity models around the country and how they're being approached, because that means a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different ways to contribute to circularity. We hope you'll join us again this afternoon from 2 until 3:30. We are going to be having our local heroes presenting on circularity and how we're undertaking circularity efforts in this community as well. So I'll let you take it away, Faith and David, and thanks for hosting, Faith, and thanks, David, for coming from New York to be here.
Thank you, Anne, for pulling together such an amazing event. It is such a warm feeling in this venue today, such a great group of individuals with similar hearts and minds. Really beautiful. David, welcome to Fairfield.
Yes.
Yeah, we're so honored to have you here. I would love to just start, if you don't mind, learning a little bit more about the mission and what initiated you to start the American Sustainable Business Network. I know it is a restructuring. Could you tell us what is the mission and what encouraged you to begin this whole process?
Right. So this is, first of all, a pleasure to be with you. I in the little bit of time that I've had here, the people that I've met, really have demonstrated that there's an incredible body of folks that reside here, and with deep heart, and and a passion for making things right in the world, and not only think about it but actually implement it in many creative ways. And that community, I think, is at the heart of what's so important for a future that will take us towards a more just, sustainable, resilient, healthy, loving world. So, kudos to all of you for making Fairfield a very special place so far. So the American Sustainable Business Council was the organization started back in 2008. And the sort of the origin story was, had to do with I was working on creating a company with a number of others to create sustainable, non-toxic, durable, bio-based water bottles. Was the first product that we were looking at as a way to get away from single-use plastic, toxics in plastic, and also as a way to help fund some of the safer chemicals, anti-toxics work that was going on in the country, because it's so hard to fund the nonprofit type work. And so the idea of creating a company that would spin off money. So anyway, we were working on it, and then 2008 hit, and the funding we thought we had for the company disappeared, along with a lot of other money for a lot of other people in this country and the like. So, but what happened was one of the people we were working with got appointed to the Obama-Biden transition team, right? They got elected in 2008 and started to set up meetings of people that I've been working with for decades in, from the farm workers to the organic and regenerative agriculture folks, bringing them together to meet with the White House to talk about a new way of thinking about agriculture and agriculture policy. And did another on bringing frontline community leaders that were dealing with environmental injustice and the like, and first time ever, these folks never thought they would ever enter the White House and be in dialogue, with emissaries of the president and vice president and the White House itself, to be able to hear the stories about what they've been confronted with and what they saw as some of the solutions, as understood by and led by their community. But the third one that was set up was of sustainable business leaders. And that morning we had a pre-breakfast with some of us, and there were many different ideas of what would take us there. Green energy, agriculture, transportation, finance. And as a person who likes to make the connections between things, I said, what if we put them all together and articulated a vision for a new economy? And so they said, okay, fine, go for it. So I presented it to the folks from the White House, and they said, sure. So I said, okay. So we went back and we said, we wrote up this letter of shared priorities for a new economy. We sent it out through a number of business groups that were in existence at that time. Got 1,300 business leaders to sign on, submitted it to the White House, and then I really said, now what? Now, right, the idea that a single piece of paper, even if it was 4 pages only, instead of 600-page policy document, they might read it, but who's going to actually make it happen? Who's going to actually advocate for it and the like? And realize that one of the missing components was a business voice and power that was about responsible economy, sustainable economy, regenerative economy, and that we had an opportunity to potentially bring these folks forward. And so I invited a bunch of the leaders of these business organizations together to help form the American Sustainable Business Council. But the why behind it was, when you look around in this country and you say, why aren't we making more progress towards the type of things that just make good common sense, that are values-based, in terms of how you treat your employees, how you treat your community, how you treat the environment, how you interact with it, understanding those sorts of values as really crucial to a different way of being able to move forward, and understanding that the economy that we've been working with is extractive. It's about short-term profit at all costs and the like. And then you go, well, right, so if all the rules and policies we're getting are about that, and that's the way the economy is run, well, who's pushing that forward when this other stuff makes so much sense? And the like, and you get the answers pretty quickly, right? It's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, the American Petroleum Institute, the American Chemistry Council, and it said, okay, all right, well, they've become the monolith. They've become the only voice and power for business in this country. If you're trying to deal with climate issues, what's the business perspective? Oh, what does the U.S. Chamber have to say? What does the American Petroleum Institute? So we said, the fourth piece of this was, I looked around and I saw that there were all these values-based businesses. The early days of, it was Ben & Jerry's and Patagonia and Eileen Fisher, The Body Shop, and many others. But then there had been an incredible growth, by then of women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, social enterprise, micro-enterprise, local first economy, right? Green, sustainable. It had so many different names, but the common factor was that they all believed that there was more to business than just being about the financial profit. And so that was the idea. So if we brought them together, we could aggregate that voice into something much greater than the sum of the parts. and we could begin to have a collective voice with diverse perspectives, but a common theme and a common goal towards transforming business, transforming the economy, transforming the rules and the policies.
Wow. Wow. I mean, such an expansive vision and mission, and it's like trying to save the Titanic as it's going down. It's such a beautiful mission that you've devoted your entire life to. Thank you for doing this. Now, working with all of these, 250,000 businesses potentially, could you just share a few of the most rewarding successes or leapfrog steps that you've made through time?
Well, I think part of it was the help in the transformation of thinking of so many others, of businesses, of legislators, in Congress, at the White House, and the like. And it just by happenstance, and it was, I guess, meant to be. Only 3 months into forming the American Sustainable Business Council, one of the people we were working with happened to run into the Secretary of Labor in the elevator, and said, "Yeah, have you heard about this new group, the American Sustainable Business Council?" No, it's a bunch of business leaders that actually care about their employees. Imagine that. And so we got a meeting with the Secretary of Labor, within 3-4 months. And we got into the room with the secretary and her assistant, and she started to hear from our business leaders who said, "Oh, we really care. We pay minimum wage. No, we pay much more than minimum wage. No, we provide paid leave. No, we actually provide all these other benefits." And and she said, "Well, just wait, stop for a minute." She went back in and she brought in 20 of her staff to say, "You got to hear from these business leaders. We have never heard. The only business leaders we hear from are the ones that tell us we're doing everything wrong, and they want to get rid of all the regulations that protect workers. And they're like, here are business leaders that go way beyond the law and are actually demonstrating a new path forward about how business is better served when you work with the people that work with you, that you care for those people." And here's models like worker ownership, where the workers are actually the owners, and it opened up their eyes. And the same thing happened with the Environmental Protection Agency and meeting with them. Again, businesses that actually are not polluting, that we don't have to regulate like this, that are actually moving forward with regenerative practices. Wow. And that sort of set us on a path to being able to have that kind of engagement back then with the White House of the Earth. And so that transformation mattered. And the whole premise for what we're doing is that a business voice to counter the old way of thinking, is really powerful. And so what kind of progress have we made? So for instance, in New York, there was an effort in New York State to move forward with hydraulic fracking. So we built the Businesses Against Fracking campaign in New York, produced the business case material, had our business leaders doing op-eds, provided and did amicus briefs, showed up at the county level, took our business case to the governor, and eventually, as a part, got over 1,000 business leaders in New York to sign on and be a part of this campaign, which led eventually, not our efforts alone, but the fact that we could have a business case and a business voice saying this is another way to do energy in New York. We don't need fracking. The implications of this, it may be short-term profit, but it's long-term pain. And it's long-term, problems for the environment, for our health, and for our economy and the like. So being able to do that, or creatively creating crowdfunding as a bill. It was our members that came up with the idea of crowdfunding, getting the community to invest in companies that they actually believed in, so that it was not just in the hands of Wall Street alone, right? And that you could bring the economy closer to home, to your community, and you could invest in the companies that cared about your community, that were staying in the community, that the money better circulated within your community and the like. So it goes on from safer chemicals bills that we moved, transforming the Toxic Substance Control Act, which was the equivalent of the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act around chemicals, but was so ineffective it couldn't get asbestos off the market after billions of dollars, right? And so that was it. That was an 8-year struggle for us, to actually finally transform that. But we passed bills at the state level, state after state, until some of the companies, the chemical companies, said we can't take this anymore, right? Because there's all these different patchwork of legislation across the country. We now need to show up at the table. They wouldn't show up at the table at the federal level, but now they would, because the strategy of moving policy at the state level, could turn us around. And so we were able to move that. And so time and time again, or stopping Keystone Pipeline with, again, a business perspective, 1,500 business leaders showing up and saying, there's another way to do this. Renewable energy is a path forward. We got better jobs, long-term, better, and so on and so forth. So again, they said, here's another business voice. So when the media covered it, they said, right, in Keystone Pipeline, they said, well, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said this is going to kill the economy. The American Petroleum Institute is going to lose all these jobs, and it's going to hurt all these families. And then they said, but the American Sustainable Business Council and the over 200,000 businesses that they represent says there is another pathway forward towards renewable energy and good jobs and strong business and a vibrant economy. And so having that business voice to counter the old way of thinking, has really been a powerful tool. It's not the only tool. It goes alongside the environmental advocates, the community advocates, the others that are out there whose lives are impacted, whose voices matter and the like, but having them not being able to dominate the space to say, we all care about the economy, and so this is bad for the economy, it's bad for business, and having a business voice that could shine a light on the opportunities matters.
Thank you. Really close to my heart are small-scale regenerative farms. And I know you have some personal experience being a partner in your family farm. Could you tell us a little bit what you see coming forward, or that is really challenging the success of the small family farm right now?
Well,
and I've got one question after this. We've got 5 minutes, but I just had to bring that one in because it's something that resonates so deeply in my heart.
Yeah, well, the quick of it is, we've had this family farm, in upstate New York, and we first tried to do vegetables. We lost our shirts, Then we moved over. A neighbor was one of the top goat people in the country, it just so happened, and he wanted to be closer to home. So he said, how about we start a goat enterprise? And we built up our goat, 220. We were milking them. We were using all these practices, never removed the babies from the moms. And we had this great milk that produced great cheese. We built it into 300 outlets. Everyone who tasted it bought it. It was off the charts, and we still lost money on the enterprise. COVID hit. We even grew our business during COVID. We built a cooperative storefront, and in Rhinebeck, New York, with 14 farms that we got together because, they lost, most of their business. We were a bit more diversified. It was great. I was trying to build a cooperative creamery. Great. At the end of the day, we just couldn't keep it going. Because, again, if you're not the farmer yourself completely, right, and not paying yourself to be the farmer yourself, and you could, and the like, paying decent wages to people who are milking the goats, paying the creamery to help us, to make the cheese and the like, paying the people that worked, and so on and so forth. So it's really hard. good news is, changing at the scale that we are. We just recently, about a year ago, got a USDA Climate Smart Commodities grant to transform the cattle and buffalo sector towards regenerative practices. And we're taking, it's $35 million grant. We're taking over half of that money, putting it back to the producers, working very closely with tribal nations and communities to restore buffalo and bison in this country towards these better practices and the like.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So as we wrap up here, would you share a little bit of your vision of what you think is possible in Iowa with our small and large businesses? How can we collaborate? What do you see coming forward?
Well, so I would say that Bob Ferguson, Stuart Valentine have agreed to help, along with a number of other folks that I've met over the last day and a half, to help us build towards an Iowa Sustainable Business Network, and to be able to bring together businesses, investors, business organizations, and the like across all sectors, across the state of Iowa, so that we can build a business voice and power in the state to be able to move this work forward, and that we'll do everything that we can and at the national level to support this effort and to help to build this out, connect them with the other states in the region, across the country, so we can continue to build this movement. The decisions will all be made here in Iowa by the leaders here in Iowa. We have no agenda to move anything but to support what we've seen as the incredible ideas, initiatives, people, businesses that are making things happen. But the missing piece at the moment is the bringing them together so that they have that collective voice, they have that power, to both, one, create the work at a much higher level because they're working together, but two is to show up at the state house and at the county levels and the like to say there's another way of doing business. We have a path forward. We actually can show you this is not a utopian vision, but we're actually really doing it. So now's the time, more than ever before, to just show up. And this has nothing to do with partisan politics. That has everything to do with doing the right thing on this planet, in our communities, in the state, and that businesses have a role. But it's the responsible businesses, again, the businesses that care about people, planet, profit, call it what you want, but about the ability to be able to use business as a way of doing well by doing good.
Thank you. It's an honor.
It's a pleasure.
It's an honor. I look forward to getting to know you better, and I look forward to engaging with you throughout the coming months and years in Fairfield and through Iowa in whatever way it comes.
Well, a sustainability coordinator is a good step.